Good morning, Burbs. My name is Azalaira, and yesterday night we finally had the long-awaited PSO2 New Genesis Prologue number 4 livestream. It was an hour and a half long, but we learned 4 awesome new features and fun. Well, there's actually more than 4, but I think these are the most important. So yeah, let's not waste any time and get right into it. First and foremost, now that we know the official launch of the game is in June, the developers have made us a roadmap for us to see what to expect coming the second half of the year 2021. Starting with the official launch in June, we're going to have the entirety of the Aleo region, which is the entire map here as you can see, with no areas barred, and we're going to have the basics classes to play with the level cap being at level 20. While a lot of PSO2 players may be like, oh man, that's really low. The thing is, with PSO2 New Genesis, it's a completely new game, and having this amount of time to level all your characters, your classes, and really experiment with all the weapons and multi-weapons, it's a lot more things to do than you might expect. While it is true that you can easily rush up to level 15 in like a day or two, it is clearly something that's not a necessity and everyone should be able to play it on your own pace, since after all, we do have 2 months before we do get a new class that's coming out. And that would be the release of the class Braver in August of 2021. Currently in the base PSO2, Braver is a class that uses both the katana and the bullet bow, so all of you who are very interested in the more traditional style of combat may be very interested in the class. Although as of right now we actually don't have any information regarding how Braver is going to play out in New Genesis, we can only wait and see for now. And on the note of new classes, we're also having another one coming in fall, which is around the time of like say October, November, so say around 2 months after the release of Braver, we're going to be having Bouncer, which is a class that uses dual blades and jet boots. Perhaps then my dreams of playing a martial artist class in PSO2 could actually be realized because I can multi-weapon the jet boots and knuckles. Hooray! And lastly, by the end of the year, we'll be having our first major update, which includes a whole new region with the level cap being increased by 15 levels, and there's going to be more class skills and techniques being released as well. Awesome! But there's more! It has also been said that the class Summoner will be implemented for spring of 2022, and that they're already working on it. It was actually supposed to be released a little bit earlier, but the development team has wanted to take a bit more time with working with Summoner in PSO2 New Genesis. Since the general reception for Summoner in base PSO2 was not great, the team wanted to take the time to make sure that they do it right this time in New Genesis. And then after Summoner, of course, we're finally gonna have a Gunblade class. I wonder what that class is gonna be called. If you have any guesses, please put them in the comments below. Secondly, we're gonna be having 4 new locales to explore that was not available in the beta of the game. First of which is West Aleo, which will be located towards the left side of the map, so basically the entirety of the area that I highlighted right here. Considering that my prediction is the fact that the island that we're going to be landing on in the story is on the bottom left of the map, the West Aleo area is definitely going to be the very first area that we'll get to explore when we're fresh and new to PSO2 New Genesis. So it's going to be a 32-man field exploration area, which is very nice. There's also going to be another 32-man exploration area which is northeast of the central city over here. This one is going to be called Halphelia Lake. Apparently it's an area where regular mobs kind of don't really spawn in regular hours, aka like the daytime and stuff, so it's going to be a really good place to do screenshots at. Do note that these 2 areas that I just talked about are exploration areas in which you will also be able to farm ores and whatnot to upgrade your weapons and everything. So while exploring these areas in the future, do keep an eye out for ore mining nodes. You're going to want to come back and get them very often. So aside from the 2 exploration areas, we're also going to be having 2 new combat areas. First of which is on the northeast of Mount Magnus here is the Vanford Research Station, or well, what was left of it. This is going to be a level 10 combat area which is 5 levels higher than Mount Magnus, so effectively once you're done with leveling in Mount Magnus, you can just move up to Vanford here and just fight the dolls that are level 10. Since in PSO2 New Genesis, fighting enemies that are 5 levels below you does not grant any EXP. So once you're level 10, Mount Magnus will stop giving EXP, so instead of farming at Magnus, you have to be farming at Vanford instead. The area is quite tight-knit and also really conveniently placed near Mount Magnus, so that's going to be a very interesting one to look into. And I do have to say, this is probably one of, if not my favorite places in PSO2 New Genesis right now. I'm kind of like a low-key fan of those like ruins and like wreckage types of areas, so yeah, it makes me really happy to see a place like this. And lastly, of course, if the level cap is going to be level 20 in the release of New Genesis, we have to have a combat area for level 15 enemies as well, so we can level up to level 20. And that area is Razor Forest. Also known as Riesel, wrestle, something something. I'm not entirely sure the pronunciation, but that's exactly what it's going to be called in global version. But yeah, Reza Forest is actually very, very near to the wetlands and the outlying plateau, so it's just to the east of it. It's going to be a relatively big area here, in which I don't have like a bigger picture of the map, so I can't really show you this. I'm so sorry about that. But yeah, it's one of the very unique areas where at night there's going to be a lot of like glowy, magical, ethereal, whoa, I don't know any words to describe it other than it's really cool. So hey, screenshotters galore! But I guess this is going to be basically the endgame area for all of us to level 20. So it's going to be very interesting to see moving forwards how this is going to move on to the next areas that we're going to get in the near future. And of course, with the 4 new areas are also many new enemies. So there are going to be some really, really cool looking dolls here and there. And well, you can do anything with the new enemies and stuff, but just don't get bit by the big Kermit. Wait, I mean big Frogga. Sorry, big Frogga. Oh dear, I swear this thing is going to be so memed. Third, we're getting a bunch of new skills for all the various classes. Also, I apologize in advance if we don't have like the best gameplay footage or demonstration for all of these, but this is the best I've got, so please bear with me and I'll explain the best I can. So the first one here is another art skip attack for Hunter. There will also be a similar skill for Fighter, so keep in mind for this one. How it works is basically if you're using at least 2 different photon arts consecutively, your next normal attack will skip to the 4th attack in the combo string, in which normally you do have 5 normal attacks. So what this means is effectively if you're using 2 different photon arts in a row and then using 2 normal attacks, it'll be 2 PAs and then 4 and 5 for your normal attacks, which is a lot of damage, since your 5th normal hits as hard or even harder than the photon art and also restores your PP. For the wired lands, getting the wired anchor advance is actually really useful because it allows your photon arts to have directional input, and depending on whether you're using your sideways input, backwards input, or front input, each action will be different and then you can use it for multiple situations. Fighter is going to inherit a 12 skip arts from base PSO2. What this is the fact that Fighter photon arts are actually really long in animation. All their photon arts are considered as a 2-part photon art. So you'll be doing both 2 parts when you're putting in a directional input, but then if you don't have a directional input, you can skip entirely the first part of your photon art and only activate the second half of it. Twin daggers are getting acceleration drive, in which if you tap your attack button at the exact perfect time where this purple line appears, you will lunge towards an enemy. This purple line will appear a little bit after you completed the animation of your photon arts, so keep an eye out for that. Launchers ones are pretty simple. Sticky bomb quick reload basically reduces the cooldown for your weapon action, and launcher charge grouping is if you're holding forwards during a charge normal attack, the AoE will be bigger. Gunner gets the classic PP recovery options, with number 1 Overwhelm, which increases your amount of PP recovered when attacking enemies that are not bosses, so basically trash mobs, and then attack PP recovery is basically just like you're getting a lot more PP when you're using your normal attacks. Force gets elemental bullet, so basically after you guard with a rod, you can shoot special bullets kinda like base PSO2's Phantom class, and these bullets will match the element of your next casted technique. The Talus gets Tricky Capacitor, which is basically something that is activatable on your sub palette. It's a skill that gets accumulated by just doing normal attacks and whatnot, and then you can activate it when the bar is full. So it's a bit kind of like a build up photon art, also similarly to what Ranger has, which is Spread Shot. And now for the Techter main class, we're going to have Deband PP recovery boost, so effectively when you shift the Deband on other people, their natural PP recovery will be increased. Way to make shift the Deband even more broken, huh? And then lastly, we're back with Wand Lovers again, but this time Wand Lovers allow you to basically have super armor, so you can't get knocked back or flinged in the air, or staggered for that matter, so you can play very aggressive when Wand Lovers is up. So with only just these skills added to the game, you're already added with so much more gameplay options that will allow you to really master your classes to a whole new level. So I'm very excited to see what new skills are going to come in the future, and hopefully you are too. The fourth and the last thing that I wanted to talk about when it comes to the Prologue 4's new stuff is that the SG scratch tickets is going to be quite different in PSO2 New Genesis for those hunting for fashion. Normally in base PSO2, the SG scratch is actually 80 star gems per scratch, which is a hefty number. However, in New Genesis, the SG scratches is only going to be 50 star gems per scratch. And to top that off, you're going to also be getting a daily scratch every single day. This will give all players free to play both and also people who are maybe light spenders ways to reduce the usage of star gems for you to be able to use on other more useful things, for example the material storage and so on. There's going to be many stamps, lobby actions, costumes, accessories, etc from the star gem scratch, so it's going to be very useful. But if you're more patient, you can actually just like save so many star gems by just doing a single star gem scratch every single day for free. You eventually end up getting exactly what you want, right? The very first star gem scratch of PSO2 New Genesis is that you can actually get the NPCs, costumes and everything all for like Garua, for Aina, so of course you can cosplay as All Might very easily. Oh sorry, I mean Garua, because his voice actor is actually All Might in Japanese, so yeah, I'm very excited for that personally, and I really want the All Might voice so I can just say Watashi ga kita, aka I am here, and you know, just have fun with people, cause All Might is awesome. So to recap everything, from our June's official launch of the game, we're going to have 2 months of just leveling around and just really getting our classes and characters up to speed and get stabilized in PSO2 New Genesis. Later in August, we're also going to be getting the Braver release using the Katana and Bullet Bow, and then later on it's going to be the Bouncer release using Dual Blades and Jet Boots, with the first major update coming at the end of the year, which includes upping their level cap, having a new region, and having a lot more skills and whatnot. There's also going to be Summoner and Luster coming in the first half of next year. We're going to be having 2 new exploration areas in West Alio, which is a beautiful field by the ocean, and also we're going to have Lake Halphelia, which is a very beautiful area for screenshotting as well, and be sure to check these areas for mining nodes. They are going to be very important in the long run when we have to upgrade our weapons. In addition to this, there's going to be 2 combat areas, first of which is the Vanford Research Station, or well, what's left of it, and it's going to be a level 10 combat area. Runes are awesome, great place for screenshots as well. And then there's going to be Razor Forest, which is going to be the highest level combat area available in the game since launch. The enemies here, as I predict, should be level 15, so basically you're going to be grinding here until you're level 20. Coming with these areas are also various new enemies, so keep an eye out for them and their deadly attacks. And don't get bit by the Kermit, and by that I mean the Big Frogga. Lastly, we're going to get daily free pools and a star gem scratch, so the patience is rewarded. You're eventually going to get everything you want, right? Basically, completely free to play players have a lot more options to get costumes and everything, and you can also save your star gems to use on a lot more useful things such as the material storage. And that is the 4 most important things I think you should know from the Prologue 4 livestream. Of course, there's a bunch more stuff that I haven't exactly covered, but you can also read a lot more of that information on this bump.org article that I will be posting also in the description below. So what do you think of all these new features? Does it make you a lot more excited for the launch of the game coming June? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. It's always very interesting for me to see what people are most excited about, so I would love to hear your thoughts. So with that, take care of yourself and don't forget to smile! Otherwise you're going to get shouted at by Ran, which is voiced by Hanamori Yumiri, who is going to be our personal operator instead of Sierra in PSO2 New Genesis. And well...
Hey, hey!